everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving my match predictions for week 19 Premier League fixtures. I know what you're probably thinking, the games may be cancelled because of what's happening with COVID, but let's just hope it's not. But in terms of this week's Premier League fixtures, we are set for some amazing games yet again. We've got Manchester City, who are looking to strengthen their hold on the title grip this season, versus Leicester, who just beat Newcastle 4-0. We've got other amazing games like Leeds versus Liverpool, Liverpool at Anfield. Honestly, it's going to be an amazing game because we know how both sides want to be on the front foot. But before going into this video, you know I'm going to say, make sure you guys like, comment, and hit that big subscribe button right there. Make sure you guys in the comment section give me your own predictions who's going to win in week 19 Premier League fixtures. So the first game I'm going to be talking about is Liverpool versus Leeds, and just like I said, I feel like for the neutral, for the football purists, this is going to be an amazing, excellent game. Both teams like to press, like to be on the front foot, but like we've seen in the past, we've had some amazing games between these two sides. The beginning of the season where Liverpool won 3-0, Salah scoring obviously, and even last season at Anfield, Liverpool won 4-3 in a great thriller. So let's just hope for more goals, more thrills, more drama, like I always say. But going into this game, let me just start off with Leeds, the underdogs going into this game. They have conceded 11 goals in their last 2 games. And I know they've had COVID outbreaks in their camp. I know they've had some important injuries to important players like Brentford, who hasn't been playing for a while. And they've heavily relied on Rafinha this season. But there are ways to lose football games, even against the big dogs like Manchester City and Arsenal. And the way they've been losing these football games, it has not been impressive at all. And like I've always said, Leeds are so entertaining to watch, but at the same time, they can be so open and vulnerable defensively where teams can capitalise on it, like we've been seeing this season. Even conceding 3 goals against Chelsea away from home. So defensively, they must fix up if they want to stay in the Premier League. And I know people are calling for Bielsa's head, and I'm not one of them. I'm saying Bielsa's obviously a fantastic manager, but what his greatest strength is also his greatest flaw. He's hard-nosed, he's stubborn, he doesn't want to change his approach when it comes to these type of games where you're away from home versus good sides who are gunning for top 4, even title pushes. Sometimes you have to understand and assess the situation and change your style of approach, especially when you have your key players missing, since you want to play man-to-man marking. It's not going to work. A man-to-man marking approach, which Bielsa obviously knows, you have to understand that your players have to be well-drilled, well-trained, and especially fit. But if you keep chalking changing your side, teams are going to be able to exploit this because there's going to be gaps, there's going to be holes, there's going to be opening, especially when players are going to be asleep or napping during games and not obviously keeping up with their marker. So what I'm basically saying, Leeds have to change their approach when they're playing against Liverpool, because like we saw against Arsenal, like we saw against Manchester City, and even times against Chelsea, when the runners in behind, sometimes the Leeds players aren't obviously aware of this, and sometimes they're caught lacking on the break. And if there's a team you do not want to give breaking and opportunities like this to, it's Liverpool FC. On the counter-attack, in the rhythm, in the flow of the game, from defence to attack, Liverpool are probably the quickest team in this league in the transition of play, especially when you have 3 players who are probably right now leading the Golden Boot race. So Leeds, if you do not want to be suffering another battering, you're going to change your style of play. So at Anfield, I'm going to be predicting a thrashing, if you call it that, and I'm going to go for a 4-1 victory for Liverpool at Anfield. So the next game I'm going to be talking about is Norwich versus Arsenal, and this game is going to be held at Carroll Road. It's the classic tie between a team which just got promoted, looking to survive in the Premier League, versus Arsenal, who are going for, obviously, to finish in the top 4 race this season. But let me just start with the away side, Arsenal. Although they had a shaky period versus teams like Everton, Manchester United this season, losing back-to-back games, it feels like they found their footing just a little bit, beating teams like West Ham, who are very difficult, especially since they've been beating the top sides this season all year. And then on the other side they also beat was obviously Leeds away from home 4-1. So if you're an Arsenal fan, you're not going to get carried away thinking we can finish 3rd or 2nd. But in this moment of time, looking at the top 4 race, you definitely have a great chance to finish there. So going into this game against Norwich, Arsenal should be filled with confidence, especially the fact that Norwich have not been scoring many goals this season. 8 goals only, considering the fact that players like Salah, Jota, Mane probably have more goals than their whole team combined. And we know Arsenal defensively have been great, as stable as they've come. Obviously, they haven't been that in recent years, but it feels like their back four, they've found a solid foundation and it looks like it's working. But in terms of Arsenal's style of play, it feels like it's starting to gel together. I'm not going to get too carried away because it is Leeds and they were so open. So obviously if you give players like Odegaard with his talent so much time and space, he's going to create chances and provide through balls for players like Lacazette or Martinelli or even other players like Saka on the right wing. But Arsenal have been performing well. We saw them scrape performances against Newcastle, Watford this season, even Norwich at home, but the performances was not following the results. But in these last two games, they are starting to look like a top 4 side, especially going forward. And the main reason I feel like this is because the former captain Aubameyang has been dropped. I feel like Lacazette is a much more better focal point up front to link the play, drop into the pockets of space, to allow runners in behind like Martinelli and Saka, which we saw have so much joy all game against Leeds United. Him being that stable rock, providing and obviously gelling the side together, is obviously so much more effective compared to Aubameyang, who only makes runs in behind. And since he's been lacking pace and confidence lately, he is like Arsenal are basically playing with 10 men. So Lacazette has been an important acquisition in that side. But in terms of this game, I know it's been one of the worst teams in this league. Literally just played Manchester United the other day, and Aston Villa are losing both games at home. And obviously defensively they've been absolutely shambolic. You have players like Martinelli, who's been in fine form, scoring 4 goals in his last 6 games, looking like he's ready to be unleashed in terms of the rest of the season. So much pace, so much energy, so much determination and tenacity to win the ball and provide those outlet runs for players like Lacazette or Odegaard to provide those through balls for. I just don't see how Norwich is going to cope with this. Saka has been playing decent as well this season. So going into this game, it should be a routine victory for Arsenal, and they should look to dominate from minute 1. There shouldn't be much of a struggle, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for Arsenal. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Newcastle versus Manchester United. Both teams with great history, great lineage, have looking to reinsert their dominance in this English Premier League to try and become one of the top sides in this league yet again. Obviously sitting in different stages of the table in terms of this season. You got Manchester United near enough 6th or 7th, 2 or 3 games in hand, and you have Newcastle pretty much rock bottom of the Premier League table. Both teams sacking their manager midway through the season, with obviously Manchester United sacking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Newcastle sacking Steve Bruce, trying to bring in new managers to implement their new philosophy in terms of their style of play to try and endure more success this season. But in terms of this game, let me just start with the away side, Manchester United. And unfortunately for them, they've had 2 or 3 games postponed because of the COVID outbreak, not being able to play teams like Brighton and Brentford to build on their momentum this season, winning 2 of their first 2 games of Ralph Rangnick's reign in the Premier League. I don't know if it's going to be a benefit that they've had 14 or 15 games to rest and even 14, 15 games to learn Ralph Rangnick's new style of play, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's style of play is completely fundamentally different. So is this going to be an advantage for Manchester United to have that extra training sessions so they can be familiarized with what Ralph Rangnick wants them to do on a game-to-game basis? Or is this not going to work in favour of Manchester United and work in favour of Newcastle? I know Newcastle just got by Liverpool away from home like 4-1, but at least they've been playing games. Manchester United might come into this game rusty, and we don't even know who's going to play because obviously players in that camp may have got COVID. So in terms of this game, is it going to suit Newcastle because they've been playing more fixtures, or is the extra rest, the extra training sessions going to help Manchester United in terms of this game? But going into this game, I honestly feel like Manchester United, who regardless they filled out, really, they should be winning this game against the Newcastle side all season, who have been poor, even under Eddie Howe, who has not been able to turn things around so far. Yes, been playing big sides like Arsenal, other big sides in this league as well, like the last game in Liverpool, but obviously they've still been conceding goals, and it doesn't feel like they're going to be able to turn this around. But in terms of the tactics going into this game, I feel like it's going to be plain and simple. Newcastle going to sit back and defend like they've done against other big sides like Arsenal and Liverpool, but haven't enjoyed any real success because they lost both games. And Manchester United are going to have to be on the front foot, try and pick moments to pick out Newcastle so they can get the first goal, which will mean Newcastle will have to break out their shell, which will make them more vulnerable because defensively they have not been good this season. Manchester United must get the goal early. Make sure that the Newcastle fans don't get into it, because we know St James's Park can be rocking if they win a few tackles, if they win a few aerial duels, or even if they get the first goal. Manchester United should have this game wrapped up in the first 40-45 minutes, as long as they do not give Newcastle the opportunity to get back into this game. If they manage this game, it should be a straightforward victory. Manchester United have too much quality for the Newcastle defenders to bear, because we know they're pretty much championship worthy defenders. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for Manchester United. I think they'll get 2 goals beginning. Newcastle will get 1, and it'll be a shaky but dramatic ending. But I think Manchester United will hold on. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Manchester City versus Leicester. We got one side going for the Premier League title, sitting comfortably at top of the table at Christmas, and we got the other side, Leicester City, who have been struggling all season for form. I know they just beat Newcastle, but the rest of the season so far, they have just been too far inconsistent. Let me just start off the home side, playing at the Etihad, Manchester City, who have been in fine form for the whole of this season, right now on an 8-game win streak. They beat teams at Leeds, also beat recently Newcastle away from home, scoring 11 goals in their last 2 games. They've been astonishing, they've been marvellous, they've been entertaining to watch. Even as a Liverpool fan who hope Liverpool win the Premier League, I got to give it to Manchester City. So far, they've been the best team all season. Defensively, they've been sound, rock solid, the best defence so far in the league in terms of their record. And going forward, they have just been scoring goals for fun. It doesn't matter if they face a man-to-man pressing team or a team which sits back like Newcastle, they are going to score goals for fun. And the thing which I find most impressive about Manchester City, which you pretty much find so impressive all season, it doesn't matter who they really play because they have so many talented players in each position. It doesn't matter if Foden and Grealish don't start like they did against Leeds and someone like Mahrez and Jesus start alongside Sterling. They just get goals. It doesn't matter if Zinchenko and Cancelo start instead of Walker. They're just going to keep a clean sheet. They've just been so good all round in terms of their play defensively and going forward. The Christmas period doesn't look like it's been affecting them all season. And in terms of Leicester going into this game, I just feel sorry for them. The first reason is obvious. Man City's fluid movement, the way they move the ball, the way they interchange play, the way they stifle teams and dominate games. Leicester are going to have to endure this for 90 minutes, and I just can't see them keeping a clean sheet in this time frame. We've seen Leicester like last season, at the beginning of the season, beat Manchester City comfortably at the Etihad by like 5 goals, but that was a different proposition. That wasn't the same Manchester City side we're seeing right now in terms of the Premier League. So going into this game, I don't really give Leicester a chance of winning it. Yes, they may have Daka, or yes, they may have Vardy running in behind that threat, which Manchester City do struggle against at times. But at the end of the day, even if Walcott is still injured for this game, Man City defensively have been sound, like I've been saying constantly throughout this whole game prediction. So I'm going to be predicting a comfortable victory for Manchester City at the Etihad, and I'm going to go for a 3-0 routine victory for the home side. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Tottenham Hotspur versus Crystal Palace, and this is set to be an amazing game. We got another London derby on our hands, and we know London derbies this season have been great to watch. Obviously, the last time these two teams faced off, Crystal Palace did get the better of Tottenham, winning 3-0 at the Selhurst Stadium. However, things have changed since that time. We got a new manager for Tottenham, and Tottenham have not lost with Antonio Conte as their new manager so far in the Premier League this season. So Crystal Palace must expect this game to be much tougher, much more physical, and for Tottenham to put up much more of a fight. I know Tottenham have been struggling all season in London derbies to win games, but I feel like under Antonio Conte, especially the way they played against Liverpool, the way they've been playing against Leeds and Norwich as well, I feel like they have a good opportunity of actually picking up points and potentially winning this game against Crystal Palace. Yes, Crystal Palace transition the ball well. Yes, they're effective getting the ball into their front forward players like Gallagher in the midfield or Zaha or etc. But at the end of the day, Tottenham have changed. They're much more physical, they're much more robust in the midfield, they will win their duels, they don't look flimsy, they don't look flaky anymore under Nuno. They actually look like they'll compete and fight you and try to win the ball like we just saw against Liverpool. And on the counter-attack, Kane and Son do punch a deadly punch like we saw last season, and even at moments like we did against Liverpool. And not only in the midfield they've been doing much more better, even going forward, they had so many chances against Liverpool where potentially they should have scored 5 or 6 goals on another day. Imagine Harry Kane not being clinical. Obviously this season's only scored 2 league goals, but still at the end of the day, he had so many chances and he should have fielded the game off with a hat-trick. I don't know how he didn't even get a hat-trick in his bag. And honestly, this game against Liverpool, it just felt like they created more chances against Liverpool than they did under Nuno Santos combined. That's how many chances Tottenham did create against Liverpool. But going into this game against Crystal Palace, I'm not saying it's going to be the same against the Merseyside team they just faced, because obviously we know Crystal Palace aren't going to throw their fullbacks forward and make 2-on-2 duels like Liverpool did with Matip and Konate versus Son and Kane. It's going to be much more structured. They're going to be much more organised sides defensively, and potentially this may be an obstacle for Spurs because we saw at the beginning of the season they still at times struggle on a consistent basis to break down teams which defend well as a unit. But at the end of the day, I feel like Spurs have been doing just enough this season in terms of the Conte reign. Winning 2-0 against Norwich, 2-1 against Leeds, even beating Brentford 2-0 as well. Although not winning games by a massive margin, under Antonio Conte, it looks like he is fixing up the side when it comes to scoring goals and doing just enough to beat these lower side teams. So going into this game against Crystal Palace, I am going to be predicting a 2-0 victory for the home side.